to this. Welcome to this service from Unity on the Eastern Shore. We're very happy you can be with us, and please know that this session is being recorded. So if you do not wish to be on the recording, you can hit the stop video button, and that way you'll be sure not to be on the recording. Thank you so much for being with us today. I know you had other options, and I'm appreciative that you chose to be with us. My name is Andrea Mitchell, and I'm very happy to see each one of you here today. Let's repeat the affirmation shown on your screen. Together, we lovingly and gratefully acknowledge the presence of the divine in our midst. And our purpose statement is there. Let's repeat that together. Our purpose is to foster a new level of spiritual awareness through worship and fellowship, and to lift one another to a Christ-like maturity. Now we're going to hear one of my favorite songs, Love is My Decision.
Love is my decision. It's up to me to give of my heart. Love is my decision. No one else can tell me to start. And once I decide to change my mind, God will show me how. Love is my decision, right here and now. Love is my decision. It's up to me to stand on that bridge. Love is my decision. No one else can make me forgive. And once I decide to change my mind, God will show me how. Love is my decision, right here and now. Love is my decision. It's up to me to dance down the road. Love is my decision. No one else can lighten my load. And once I decide to change my mind, God will show me how. Love is my decision, right here and now. Love is my decision. It's up to decision right here and now.
Unity's co-founder, Charles Fillmore, identified 12 spiritual powers, and we celebrate one of those powers each month. In July, the spiritual power we celebrate is understanding, as you can see on this beautiful golden yellow banner. Let's repeat together the words of our affirmations. Together, there is only one presence and one power in my life and in the universe, God the good, omnipotent. Together, we know God blesses all special intentions in our prayer box and that God's perfect plan is in action. Together, we are alive, alert, awake, joyous, and enthusiastic about life. The daily word today is journey. My life's journey begins and ends in the heart of God. I feel excitement at the beginning of a journey, thinking about the adventures, the beautiful sights, and the fascinating people I will meet at my journey's end. Even as I look forward to reaching my destination, however, I remain alert, open to the adventures and insights that await discovery along the way. My faith tells me that my spiritual journey began in the heart of God, long before my human birth. In childhood, I looked outward, longing for the adventures that would become waypoints on my journey to maturity. Now I journey inward, longing for the spiritual home I never really left. I am learning that even the most ordinary day can become an opportunity to realize that the heart of God is present everywhere. And from Psalms 121:8, the Lord will keep your going out and your coming in from this time on and forevermore. And now we'll have another song, Standing Under You.
Climbing the ladder one step at a time. It's God down below you guiding the climb. On the side of a mountain, unable to cope, God will be holding your rope. Put your dreams in a bottle and cast it to sea. Let God be in charge of your destiny. Understanding whatever you do, it's God standing under you. Walking the high wire, there's no need to fret. If you lose your balance, God is your net. And when you're too weary to be so tough, God will be holding you up. Put your dreams in a bottle and cast it to sea. Let God be in charge of your destiny. Understanding whatever you
God standing under you. When you're misled by the way things seem, keep holding on, don't let go of your dream. Feel with your heart, let go with your hands. God is in charge of the plan. Put your dreams in a bottle and cast it to sea. Let God be in charge of your destiny. Understanding whatever you do, it's God standing under you. God standing under you.
I'm very happy to welcome our speaker today. Several years ago, she was named Writer in Residence in Fairhope. And that's when I met her, and I think when most of us had a chance to meet her. She visited with Unity on the Eastern Shore, and we all came to know and love her. She has spoken to our congregation, I believe, 4 times in recent months, and we always look forward to having her join us. Even though she lives far away, she has made us sort of her ministry at a distance. She joins us frequently on Zoom, and I'm very happy to introduce to the podium today Sharon Sinclair.
Thank you so much, Andrea, for that kind invitation, or kind introduction. I always feel the invitation to be with you, and it is always an honor and a privilege to be your speaker. For today's topic, I chose A Soul for All Seasons. Where I live, seasonal changes have been very much a reality for my whole life. And recently, I've begun to wonder if the soul also goes through its own seasonal changes in our growth towards Christ-like maturity. So today I'd like to share with you a few thoughts in that regard. But first, let's start with prayer. I invite you to please settle comfortably wherever you are and draw quiet, slow breaths to help your body and your spirit relax. Close your outer eyes and focus on the beating of your heart. Try to hear it or feel it as a sensation in your chest. Try to clear your mind of any distracting thoughts and fill your spirit with a sense of gratitude for our many blessings. May my words help express the contents of your own heart. Dear God, today may we be fully awake to the profound beauty that surrounds us, the majesty of the mountains, the power of the oceans, the quiet peace of the valleys. May we see within the intricate design of even the tiniest flower, the fascinating patterns that exist everywhere in our world. May we be comforted by the unfolding of life in countless ways, according to your divine purpose and in your perfect timing. Even in the midst of darkness, may we find the strength to persevere and the faith to always seek your light. May that divine light help us to see more clearly the path of our life's journey. May we strive to always share our courage and our optimism with others. You have assured us that to everything there is a season, and a time to every purpose unto heaven. Help us release any fears that may arise through the passage of those seasons, and to trust that everything ultimately works for good for our soul's development. Amen. Well, as you know, I'm from Canada, and we experience a 4-season climate here, where winter can sometimes take up at least 6 months of the year. But technically, we do have spring, summer, fall, and winter. And I think to some degree in Fairhope, that is also true, and in other parts of the United States, depending on where you live. As just as each year evolves in its progression, I'm intrigued by the progression of our soul's evolution on this earthly journey. And I must tell you, when I was preparing the message this week, I experienced what I guess is like a crisis of confidence. And I began to ask myself, what do you think you are doing talking about these complex concepts with this beautiful congregation of people who are far more versed and knowledgeable about new thought theories than you are? And I'm only beginning to understand Charles Fillmore and his system. And I'm not even sure I'm using the terms necessarily correctly within context. Sometimes I think when I share ideas with you, I should come with a disclaimer that says the opinions expressed here may not necessarily reflect true unity philosophy. But then I thought, well, you must be saying something of relevance because they keep having you back again. So I straightened myself out and I decided to follow the advice that's often given to authors that you should just write about what you know. And what I know from my Bachelor of Applied Arts degree in early childhood education, followed by 20 years in the teaching profession, is that we pass through many developmental stages as we age and mature. And I'm happy today that my good friend Sandy is here because we experienced Ryerson's philosophy and Ryerson's teaching together over 40 years ago. And the ideas that I'm going to share with you have definitely stood the test of time in my own experience, and I trust with Sandy as well. Our years of study explored the full expanse of human development from conception to death. And I learned that along the continuum of our development, we go through significant changes in our ability to understand and process the world in which we live. And there are many, many factors that contribute to how successfully we will navigate those changes. One of the earliest memories I have of being with you at Unity is hearing your belief that we are spiritual beings having a physical experience while we are here on earth. And because we each embark on our spiritual journey within the confines of a physical body, I began to wonder if the developmental milestones of our physical body might have a correlation with the evolution of our soul. And if that were true, how at each stage can we best facilitate the growth towards Christ-like maturity? According to Charles Fillmore's teachings, the soul touches both the inner realm of spirit, from which it receives direct inspiration, and the external world, from which it receives impressions. So I decided to look at how we receive impressions from the external world by reviewing ideas from some of the experts to whom I was introduced in my course of study. You may be familiar with the theories of Jean Piaget, the Swiss developmental psychologist who studied the nature of knowledge itself and how humans gradually come to acquire, construct, and use it. Piaget conceived of 4 stages of cognitive development from birth to adulthood. In practical terms, infants start to build an understanding of the world through the senses by touching, grasping, watching, listening, Gradually, children develop language and begin to use symbolic play. And in the concrete operational stage, which begins about age 7, children learn rules about objects such as height, weight, and volume, but they still need to manipulate concrete materials to understand these ideas. Gradually, by about age 11, children enter a stage called formal operations, where they begin to understand abstract concepts and to solve problems using logic. At that stage, they can reason without the presence of concrete objects. At every stage, there are age appropriate materials, parenting and teaching strategies that can best facilitate progression through these stages. So, I wonder, in the soul's development, are there factors that influence how effectively we might progress in our maturity? For example, do we cognitively have to be at the stage of abstract thought to be able to reflect on the soul's journey? Is it coincidence that in the Bible, according to the book of Luke, Christ apparently was at the age of 12 when he stayed behind in the temple to listen to the teachers and to discuss spiritual issues? That age would have put him cognitively at Piaget's stage of formal operations. Another individual who further developed Piaget's concept regarding stages of moral development was Lawrence Kohlberg. Kohlberg was interested in how people determine what is right or wrong. Following specific patterns of human behavior, Kohlberg organized stages into 3 levels of moral reasoning. Individuals in his studies were asked to offer reasoning to a dilemma. A well-known example Kohlberg used is as follows. A woman was on her deathbed. There was one drug that the doctors thought might save her. It was a form of radium that a druggist in the same town had recently discovered. The drug was expensive to make, but the druggist was charging 10 times what the drug cost him to produce. He paid $200 for the radium and charged $2,000 for a small dose of the drug. The sick woman's husband, Heinz, went to everyone he knew to borrow the money, but he could only get together about $1,000. He told the druggist his wife was dying and asked him to sell it cheaper or let him pay later. But the druggist said, "No, I discovered the drug and I'm going to make money from it." So Heinz got desperate and broke into the man's laboratory to steal the drug for his wife. So now the question, should Heinz have broken into the lab to steal the drug for his wife? Kohlberg then asked how the individuals in his study would justify their actions if placed in similar moral dilemmas. Children at a young age believe that rules are meant to be followed and that those in charge will undoubtedly follow through with punishments. A child reasoning at the above example might include, "It's bad to steal. You will get into trouble," without considering the perspectives of the man whose wife is sick. Progressing through the stages, rationale gradually changes with the desire to be accepted into social groups, so that someone in that stage who's reasoning in that way might say that the man should take the medicine from the pharmacy in order to be a good partner to his wife. In a further stage, laws and social order reign supreme. Rules and regulations are to be followed and obeyed to preserve society. In the above example, people reasoning at this stage would argue that the man should not steal the medicine because it is against the law. Apparently, many adults in our society never truly develop beyond the stage of moral reasoning. But there are higher stages, and in a higher stage, people evolve from the idea of being good into what would be the right thing to do. They begin to consider what makes for a good society. They are able to step back and assess each situation as a whole, reflecting on what is good and just. In the final stage, people take these ideas one step further, where they work to incorporate justice and create a fair society for all. When applied to our soul's growth, which stage would most clearly reflect a Christ-like maturity? What would Jesus have done under the circumstances, I wonder? What experiences in our lives might move us to a higher stage of moral reasoning? Where does compassion and empathy figure in our ethical decisions? Does the spiritual power of understanding influence our moral compass? Before I suggest a few considerations in this regard, I'd like to refer to one more individual whose ideas particularly resonated with me. His name was Erik Erikson, and he devised 8 stages of psychosocial development that we all go through that can contribute to or impede our happiness and our emotional and psychological health. The first stage of Erikson's theory occurs between birth and 1 year, and it is the most fundamental stage in life. It is called trust versus mistrust. Can the vulnerable infant trust that his world will be safe and predictable and provide the resources he or she needs? Subsequent stages are autonomy versus shame and doubt, which includes those difficult toddler years. Initiative versus guilt, about 3 to 5 years. Identity versus inferiority, 6 to 12 years. Industry. I may have said that wrong. Industry versus inferiority, 6 to 12 years. Identity versus role confusion, 12 to 18 years. Intimacy versus isolation, which is young adulthood, 19 to 40. Generativity versus stagnation, middle adulthood, 40 to 65. And integrity versus despair, from 65 to death. Those are variable ages, but I think you can understand how the stages progress in that way. Each stage in Erikson's theory builds on the preceding stages and paves the way for the following periods of development. In each stage, Erikson believed that people experience a conflict that serves as a turning point in development. If people successfully deal with the conflict, they emerge from that stage with psychological strengths that will serve them well for the rest of their lives. And Erikson believed that even if we are initially unsuccessful resolving the conflict at a particular stage, we can return later to that stage and work to achieve a greater resolution of the conflict. But for an ultimately healthy development, we must successfully resolve the conflicts at each stage. If we fail to deal effectively with these conflicts, we may not develop the essential skills needed for a strong sense of self. So how does a failure to deal with these conflicts affect the soul's development? For example, if we do not learn to trust our world as an infant, does that impact our ability to trust a supreme being? If we carry shame and doubt from childhood, will our soul be empowered to grow and flourish? If we end our lives with a sense of despair when we look back at our perceived failures, inadequacies, and injustices, will our soul be impeded in any way in its ascendancy? I do not profess to have answers to these questions, but I hope they provoke interesting thoughts to consider. Does our soul develop and evolve developmentally? Or is our soul independent of progressive stages in areas of human development? For example, we all probably have met young children who seem to possess an old soul, whose wisdom seems much more advanced than their age. We meet others of all ages who seem to be like earth angels with highly developed skills of compassion and intuition. Did they come already with a soul that was far more developed? Then there are the child prodigies, whose skills defy explanation. Charles Fillmore referred to Mozart, who at age 4 played the organ without instruction. Where did he get such marvelous musical ability? Charles Fillmore believed that a history of his soul would show that he had cultivated music for ages, carrying from one incarnation to another his zeal for the harmony of sound, until he became the very soul of music. Mr. Fillmore also said the genius of Shakespeare was the accumulated experience of a soul that had been poet and philosopher since the morning stars sang together. Fillmore believed that we can overcome the soul's mistakes by incorporating into mind and heart the attributes of the Christ mind. It's my belief that we can successfully do this when we are encouraged along our path and allowed to develop the unique gifts with which each soul comes to this earth. I read once that you are the artist of your life. Don't give the paintbrush to anybody else. The consequences of doing so can be soul crushing. So, obviously, I believe that enabling people to follow their dreams is one way to help our soul's potential to flourish. Often, children at a young age seem to understand their life's purpose at some intuitive level. And I think the best that can happen then is that they just are encouraged to continue that development. Sometimes in our own development, we need to get out of our own way and remove the blockages we might have put in the path of our soul's growth. As Rosella said last week when describing the subconscious, conscious, and superconscious, we need to bring our thoughts and feelings to conscious awareness so they can further ascend in alignment with divine mind. I believe that the images and ideas we feed our mind are powerful allies in the soul's development. For that reason, immersing ourselves in beauty is a practice not to be underestimated. The Irish poet and priest John O'Donohue wrote that beauty does not linger, it only visits. Yet, beauty's visitation affects us and invites us into its rhythm. It calls us to feel, think, and act beautifully in the world, to create and live a life that awakens the beautiful. In one of his most well-known works, O'Donohue wrote that there is a beautiful complexity of growth within the human soul. In order to glimpse this, it is helpful to visualize the mind as a tower of windows. Sadly, many people remain trapped at the one window, looking out every day at the same scene in the same way. Real growth is experienced when you draw back from that one window, turn and walk around the inner tower of the soul and see all the different windows that await your gaze. Through these different windows, you can see new vistas of possibility, presence, and creativity. Complacency, habit, and blindness often prevent you from feeling your life. So much depends on the frame of vision, the window through which you look. As we continue along this journey called life, I think there are other factors that also influence our soul's growth. For example, in the opening prayer, I quoted from Ecclesiastes, where we are assured that there is a time to mourn and a time to dance. Sometimes it is through our darkest intervals of mourning that we emerge with a new sense of our soul's strength and our soul's worth. It is often by surviving hardships that we develop a greater sense of the compassion and empathy exemplified by Christ. Another aspect I think that's worth considering is the power of modeling. As we grow and mature, we model the attributes and ideals observed in the people we love and admire. Just as most things increase with practice, practicing the art of compassion helps make it an integral part of the developing personality. In a poem I was given a long time ago, John Boyle O'Reilly writes, "What is good? What is the real good?" I asked in musing mood. Order, said the law court. Knowledge, said the school. Truth, said the wise man. Pleasure, said the fool. Love, said the maiden. Beauty, said the page. Freedom, said the dreamer. Home, said the sage. Fame, said the soldier. Equity, the seer. Spake my heart full sadly, the answer is not here. Then within my bosom, softly this I heard. Each heart holds the secret. Kindness is the word. Perhaps acts of kindness are the soul's way of demonstrating its growth. Just as in our physical development, there are indicators of changes, like the first time a child takes a step, the first time a word is produced, the loss of the first tooth, a growth spurt that happens and children's clothes no longer fit. Perhaps it is ultimately in our behavior that the world recognizes and benefits from each soul's growing maturity. A Native American elder and retired Bishop of Alaska named Stephen Charleston fits kindness into his list of 6 signs that your spiritual life is healthy. I plan to share the complete list with you as part of our meditation in a few minutes, but I just wanted to say that I believe it is the kindness that I recognize and experience and observe from your congregation at Fairhope that encourages me to learn more about Unity's principles. I sense that kindness emanating from each of you, and I am very grateful that you embraced me in a hug that I can feel all the way back to Canada. In Charleston's theory, I would say you are all well on your way to living a healthy spiritual life, but I think that you knew that already. I'd like to close by sharing with you an experience that I think illustrates one more attitude that can help us on our soul's journey. One morning this past week, I was walking across a wide expanse of lawn on this very large property where I live with my sister-in-law. And I could have taken any number of directions and paths, but I just happened to be walking towards the house when I noticed a little scrap of blue on the lawn. And I thought, oh, that must be a piece of paper or something. So I bent to pick it up. And I was so startled to see that it was the shell of an egg. And when I removed it, underneath was squirming this totally underdeveloped, kind of alien-like little tiny bird. And I was so astonished, so taken aback by it, because I didn't understand how it got there. There were no trees around or nests where it might have fallen from. I can only assume it was taken from a nest and dropped there. But because I already had some disposable gloves on, I picked it up as gently as I could and I carried it to where my sister-in-law was. And we were both very concerned about this dear little thing. And I think my sister-in-law really would have regurgitated a worm if she thought she could have helped it survive. But we made the decision that because it was so vulnerable, we couldn't help it. So we tried to find a gentle, safe place where nature could take its course. But our cat kept following us, and the dog was around as well. We thought we're going to have to think more closely about this. Excuse me. So eventually we selected a nest on one of Ruth's decks. And it had been home to a couple families of robins, but we didn't think there was anything there at this time. So I was very surprised. Excuse me very much. I was very surprised when I brought the nest down and saw that there was another little bird at about the same stage of development. So very quickly, I put the one that I had found into the nest, and we left as quickly as we could, hoping that the mother would come back. And from our distance of watching, sure enough, a mother bird did come, and we just hoped that she would accept this little addition to her nest if it had not come from one of her eggs. So when I saw that mother bird come, and what a mother she is too, she's just been so attentive. It was like I could feel my soul expand with joy. And I could literally feel that within my being. And I think if that little bird can survive against all odds, and we are certainly hoping it will, what beautiful proof that our lives are not random and that it is important to relish those moments that take your breath away. They illustrate the wonder in the expression, "How great thou art." Encouraged by these soul stirring experiences, our eyes may then open wider to see the miraculous that shines forth in everyday situations. We will experience a greater appreciation for the divine gifts with which we are blessed. We will feel the flutter of growth in our understanding, and we will know the inspiration behind those familiar words. Then sings my soul. Thank you. And now I'd like to invite you to join me in a meditation. And I'm hoping that a little drink of water will clear my throat. So, as always, let's try to relax our bodies and release any accumulated tension. Take a few minutes to breathe deeply. Close your outer eyes and let these words by Helena Coleman take you to a sacred place of peace and beauty. More lovely grows the earth. More lovely grows the earth as we grow old. More tenderness is in the dawning spring. More bronze upon the blackbird's burnished wing. And richer is the autumn cloth of gold. A deeper meaning, too, the years unfold, until to waiting hearts each living thing, for very love its bounty seems to bring, entreating us with beauty to behold. Or is it that with years we grow more wise, and reverent to the mystery profound, withheld from careless or indifferent eyes, that broods in simple things the world around, more conscious of the love that glorifies the common ways and makes them holy ground. Wherever you might be on this holy ground, try to visualize your mind as a beautiful window and take a moment to look out upon one of your favorite familiar scenes. Now, using the concept suggested by John O'Donohue, see yourself drawing back from that one window to enter a beautiful tower lined with many windows of various shapes and sizes. This is the tower of your soul. Picture yourself walking around this inner tower of your soul, marveling at all the different windows that await your gaze. Today, together as one congregation, we will look through 6 windows, where each window represents one of Stephen Charleston's 6 indicators of healthy spiritual life. To begin, move towards one of the windows. Through this window, you will see a collage of your cherished beliefs. You will see yourself in critical reflection about what you believe and what you feel secure in knowing. There is an internal logic to your faith. You have not arrived at your beliefs lightly. They are the result of deep introspection, and they have given you a firm foundation from which to keep seeking aspects of the truth. Acknowledge the work you have done in this area, and now move to the second window. Through this window, you see yourself as a learner of faith principles. Your faith has a built-in curiosity. You have a sense of humility and are tenacious about acquiring deeper understanding. You recognize the importance of being a seeker. Through this window, you might see memories of moments that have deepened your faith and teachers who have guided you along your path. Acknowledge these memories and individuals with gratitude. Now slowly leave that window with a sense of confidence and a resolve to delve even deeper into aspects of your faith journey. Let your eyes focus on the third window. We will call it the kindness window. Through this window, you recognize examples of the kindness you value very highly. Bring to mind an example of a time when someone treated you kindly. Now bring to mind a time when you demonstrated to someone else a sense of compassion. Watch your kindness radiate out to all forms of life. Through the fourth window, which we will call the window of self-knowledge, you recognize yourself as someone who has the confidence to see your own fragility. This window lets you recall that every day is precious. Look out upon some of your most precious moments. As you turn from this window, you will know with all certainty that you do not want to waste a moment on negative behavior, and that you choose instead to radiate hope to as many people as you can. The fifth window is a reflection of your spiritual journey. You are a spiritual veteran. You have known hard times and faced many fears. See yourself successfully mastering those fears and surviving supreme difficulty. The foundation of your faith is solid, with resilient commitment to the peace beyond struggle. You turn from this window with a sense of accomplishment and appreciation for where you now stand on this journey without end. The sixth window confirms that you have seen visions. Even if through a glass darkly, you have caught a glimpse of the other reality that this world often obscures. You have seen beauty. You have felt serenity. You believe. And your choice to believe, your choice to anchor your faith in the one source of divine energy from which we each carry a precious spark, gives you an unshakable strength that will carry with you forever. Before you leave the tower of your soul, for now, look around and see other windows beckoning to you with promises of exquisite views as you continue your growth towards Christ-like maturity. As you prepare to leave this sacred space, look around and see that there is a protected area with beautiful candles and long, elegant matches. Take a moment to light a candle for all those who are walking their own faith journey. Offer prayers, either silently or aloud, for anyone who needs your love and support. Make a vow to help as much as possible to ease the pain that abounds in this physical world. See the light from your candle enter your heart, where it will continue to illuminate your soul as you return to your physical location. Take a moment to ground yourself in your physical reality by imagining roots slowly growing from the soles of your feet, traveling down through all the layers of the earth to the core light at the center. Bring some of this light upwards through all the layers of rocks, water, soil, until it enters your body through the soles of your feet. Feel this healing light from the earth. Travel slowly up through every part of your body, lingering wherever there is any pain or discomfort. Bring the light from the earth into your heart, where it meets the light from your soul candle. The two sources of light are now one. This greater light will keep you securely grounded in the physical world, while freeing your soul to expand with the spark of divine creation. Let every beat of your heart circulate this light as it brings your special gifts to a waiting world. Take a few more breaths of relaxation. And when you feel ready, please open your eyes.
Thank you so much, Sharon. As always, we are so moved by your words, and they will give me a lot to think about in the coming week.
Thank you, Andrea. I must apologize. My throat wasn't in its best form today, but I hope the message came through.
Yes, it definitely did. So now I'd like to invite you to share your blessings through the U.S. mail by sending a check to Unity on the Eastern Shore, P.O. Box 776, Fairhope, Alabama 36533. and we'll enjoy another song by Karen Drucker, Waiting.
It's not in trying, but in trusting. It's not in running, but in resting. It's not in wandering, but in praying that we find the strength of the one. I am waiting, I allow myself to wait. I am waiting, I allow myself to wait. The sky is dark, the days are cold, it's the time of year to go deep inside and know that the light will come again. But for now, I rest and I listen. I am waiting, I allow myself to wait. I am waiting, I allow myself to wait. My life's been moving way too fast. I need to stop and take a breath to see what my heart wants me to do. So for now, I rest and I listen. I am waiting, I allow myself to wait. I am waiting, I allow myself to wait. I allow myself to stop. I allow myself to rest. I allow myself.
Now let's repeat together the prayer for protection. The light of God surrounds us. The love of God enfolds us. The power of God protects us. The presence of God watches over us. Wherever we are, God is, for we are one. And we'll close with, let there be peace on earth.
Let there be peace on earth, the peace that
that's in